The Great Molasses Flood, Boston sticky catastrophe. A sweet disaster turns deadly. Picture this. Boston, January 15th, 1919. The air is crisp, the harbor is quiet, and the city is minding its own business. Until, without warning, a 50-foot-tall steel tank full of molasses explodes like an overripe soda can. What follows is not just a spill. Oh no, this is a tsunami of syrup, a wall of sticky doom, rushing through the streets at 35 miles per hour, swallowing horses, smashing buildings, and drowning bystanders in a substance usually reserved for cookies and rum. This, my friends, is the Great Molasses Flood, a disaster so absurd, so tragically ridiculous, that if it weren't for the 21 deaths and 150 injuries, you'd swear it was a rejected Monty Python sketch. The tank, a monument to corporate cheapness. The culprit, a 2.3 million-gallon molasses tank, owned by the Purity Distilling Company. Ironic name, considering how impure their safety standards were. The tank was notoriously shoddy, leaking so much that locals would sneak under it with buckets to collect free molasses. Workers called it the sweating tank, but the company's response was basically, it's fine. And then, on that fateful January day, physics decided to teach them a lesson. When the tank burst, the molasses didn't just ooze, it erupted. Eyewitnesses described a thunder-like boom, followed by a 15-foot-high wave of black goo, surging with enough force to knock buildings off their foundations, flip a freight train, drown people and horses in a substance thicker than regret. Rescuers arrived to a nightmare. Victims trapped in molasses like human flies in a tar pit, struggling as the syrup hardened in the cold air. Firefighters sprayed seawater to thin the mess, while workers used sand and even sawdust to soak it up. The cleanup took weeks. The smell of molasses lingered for years, and to this day, Bostonians joke that on a hot summer day, you can still catch a whiff of 1919's biggest blunder. Why did it happen? Spoiler greed plus bad engineering. The official cause? A perfect storm of negligence. The tank was built like a soda can made of hopes and dreams. Thin steel, weak rivets, zero proper testing. Fermentation may have built up pressure. Molasses produces gas, and if trapped, well, boom. A sudden temperature rise. Molasses expands when warm, and Boston had just gotten a weird January thaw. But the real reason? Corporate corner cutting. The company ignored warnings, rushed construction, and later tried to blame anarchists. Yes, really. The disaster wasn't just a spectacle. It changed industrial safety forever. The lawsuits that followed set precedents for corporate liability, leading to stricter building codes. And yet, the absurdity endures. The Great Molasses Flood remains history's most bizarre industrial disaster. A reminder that when humans mix greed, incompetence, and millions of gallons of syrup, the results are both tragic and darkly hilarious. So next time you drizzle molasses on your pancakes, take a moment to remember Boston's stickiest catastrophe. A day when the city learned, in the worst way possible, that sugar kills. The end. Or as the victims might say, the sticky end. Final thought. If nothing else, this disaster proves one universal truth. Never trust a company that names itself Purity, but can't even build a proper tank.